Good morning, or good afternoon it is now. My name is Josh Ochs, and welcome to Parent University. I'm so pumped to be able to share with you some information on how to keep your kids safe on the internet. Now, the title of this really was, in the beginning, Safety and the Ways to Protect Your Family, but I'm going to give you a little bit more. You thought you were coming here for a Ford, but I'm going to give you a Ferrari today. Now, unfortunately, that means that I would like to ask your permission to move quickly. You see, I get the great opportunity and privilege to travel the country and talk to awesome parents like yourself all over the country, so I do listen a lot. I know most of the concerns that you may have. I've put them into our slides. I'd love to save Q&A towards the end. I do want to hear from you, but I want to give you all the stuff that we need to protect your family. Is that fair? Great. I'm so pumped to be here. So first, who is this guy? Josh. I got my start at Walt Disney Studios many years ago, learning from some of the smartest marketers how they package something together to make it desirable by others. I then later ran for politics. I was the youngest person on the ballot in a city that we all know called Hermosa Beach, not too far from here. Here is a picture of me voting for myself on the day of the election in a voting booth. I was very nervous. You see, I didn't know much about politics, but as a small business owner, I knew there was something that as the youngest person on the ballot, I could do that none of the other candidates could do. You see, when people would see my sign on a bicycle, or perhaps on the 9021 house, 90210 house. Did you guys ever see 90210? They had a beach season, a beach summer or whatever. That is actually that house. Your kids would not get that joke, but you perhaps do. Or if they saw my sign around the city, they'd say one thing. And I knew that they would say, hey, who's this guy Josh? He knocked on my door. He was more positive than anyone else, and he had a lot of energy, and he wanted to listen to me. I knew they'd ask one question. They'd say, is this guy really who he says he is? And I knew they'd go to one place. I knew they would go to Google, and they would search for me online to find out who is this person really. Colleges are going to do the same thing for your students. And I was able to flood the internet with positive information about me, pictures, and show how I'm really active in real life, helping others and putting my best foot forward. I was shining online so that when parents would eventually search for me online, not parents, but voters would search for me online, they would notice, hey, this guy really is who he says he is, and they're looking at my flyer, and it's congruent. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Is your student congruent online as they are in their college application? We will also talk about safety. I ended up losing to the incumbent mayor by only 350 votes. But losing is not a bad thing. You see, big brands and companies all over the country were watching me. And after it was over, several big brands said, hey, can you fly to our city and can you train our staff? How you, in a positive way, were able to do all this cool stuff and reach so many people. As the youngest person on the ballot, with almost zero money, you were able to get so close to him. So I traveled the country. I wrote a book called Light, Bright, and Polite for businesses that did okay on Amazon. And then I had a bunch of colleges and a bunch of PR firms say, hey, can you got a lot of safety in here. Can you please adapt this for safety? And now I have a new book out that is called Light, Bright, and Polite. How to use social media to really protect your kids, but get them, more importantly, ready for college and future employers. And I'm going to share with you some of that data. Today is not just about college, though. Today, the tips I'm about to show you are a 10-year plan for your kids to get them working at any one of the companies that we advise or we work with. It is blessed by some of the world's largest brands and small companies alike. Now, first of all, I want to show you some discussion topics. We're going to try our best to go over here. I have a lot to go over, and we will do our best. Should my children be public on social media, Josh? We're going to show you that. Next, do colleges really search for students? Next, how can I monitor my student online, Josh? Next, how might I be able to stay updated on the latest apps, Josh? It seems like there's a new app out each week. And next, what are the top 7 apps your students should be on eventually? And last, how can I have a dialogue with my teens? There's a lot we're going to go over, nice and quick. But first, I was on a radio interview this week, and this is what the interview person said. After all the interview on Thanksgiving Day, I'm on channel 115 if you have XM radio, and they're featuring some of the data I'm about to show you today. And here's what she said to me. And I've packaged it into one slide to make it easy for you, because feedback is everything. First, I'm going to show you how to audit your student's online image. We're going to use Google to see what's out there. This is a 3-step plan. Number 2, we're going to show you how to dialogue with your student about their future. This is key, so we can see where they want to go and really use that as a gauge to talk with them about it. And then last, we're going to create content to improve their online image eventually when you're ready and make it congruent with their college application. This is my 3-step plan for your family. You fit in one of these 3 buckets, but they're all extremely important. Now next, when should my student be public online? How many of us have a student that's 0 to 13? Raise your hand, please. Awesome. Wow. How many of us have a student that is 14 to 18? Great. I'm talking to both groups right now. Parents, you decide when your student is public online. Josh will show you how. Here's our professional recommendations. We professionally recommend that your student, if they are between 0 to 13, that they're private online. That means if we search for them, we cannot find what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're thinking, or where they're at. But by the age of 14 to 15, it is a wonderful time to have a family discussion regarding what should go public, so that by the age of 15, you can consider dipping your toe in the water and posting some positive images and volunteer photos on social media. So that by the age of 17, colleges can eventually begin to find some sort of a public, positive, online portfolio of positive accomplishments that your students have created to make sure that you're congruent with who you say you are. Now, I want to show you a slide I made just for your family. It has 3 different areas. You see, there's the red zone, the gray zone, and the green zone. I'm going to go over with you today in detail. But what does this mean? The red zone is really where many of you are at over here with younger kids, 0 to 13. And this is where we talk to our kids inherently as good parents. We say what not to do. Hey, don't do this. Don't touch that. And then sometimes we're working against our kids when we only focus in those areas on social media. But what I want to move you towards is, instead of safety, I want to move you over to smart. And I'll show you my dialogue that I have with students. I have a dialogue with, first, here's what could go wrong. It is always okay to tell a child, if you drive 100 miles an hour in this vehicle, you will die. Here are other people that have done that. All of us were familiar with that in high school when they would bring people in and say, here's what happens with all this stuff that could go wrong. That's important, but also we talk to students about their future, and we then use Instagram to get them there. I'm going to dialogue. I know this looks busy, but I'm really going to hang out a little bit in here today, and I'm going to talk to you about how to talk to your students about that, because it will change where it's at. Now, we had an intern a couple years ago, one of our big clients that we advise. He said, I insist that my daughter intern at your company. Okay, and she was a student at one of the other schools, much like this one, in Santa Monica. And so we brought her in, and he said, I want her to learn digital marketing and what you do for big brands. It would be great for her resume. We searched for her online, and I said, sir, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to work with her online image. You see, in 2 years, she's going to go to college. You're going to want to apply to her dream school. She's a hardworking person. I met her. She seems nice. He said, well, what are you doing? I said, trust me, sir, this is one of the nicest things I can do for your family. We searched for her on the left, and nothing came up. Her name is Jamie. All these other random people came up. We set out in a couple months. We talked with her. What is your dream school? What do you do online that is extremely amazing? Like, what's something that sets Jamie apart? Now, Jamie is Jewish, Caucasian, and she said, I speak, read, and write Mandarin. I went, what? She said, yeah, I'm really good at that for some reason. I've learned that. So we took a skill that she wanted to use in the future in business school, and we started creating Google results around that. We went to YouTube, and I have a video you can watch to see exactly how she did this. We talked to her parents first. She created 3 little YouTube videos, and she taught people first how to say, where is the restaurant? Number 2, where is the bathroom? And then another one. She made these little videos in our office teaching people how to speak and read Mandarin. Now when you search for Jamie, you get photos of her and you get videos. Her dream school searched for her online, and you better believe that they saw this. She's now in Shanghai studying business, speaking, reading, and writing Mandarin, right? Now you see the difference in the Google results there? We had a dialogue with her. Because I know her father very well, I had a dialogue with him too and said, this is nice. Now we hear from him, he goes, you were right. This is the dialogue that we needed to have. Okay, now key takeaway number 1, I'm a simple man, so I'm not going to use buzzwords today. Key takeaway number 1, the best social media safety resource is not a social media app. It's not a tool that tracks your child online. It's not keeping your students away from everything electronic. And unfortunately, it's not ignoring the internet. Maybe it'll disappear. Instead, the best social media safety resource is a healthy dialogue with your students, as we've kind of already discussed. I'm going to give you some of those dialogue tips right now. Now, how many of you are on Facebook? Raise your hand, please. Great. How many of your students are on Facebook? Yeah, about 5 of us in the room, right? Do you guys know why? It's because you're on Facebook, right? You guys killed Facebook for your children. As awesome as you are. Now, let me talk to you about something nerdy. I want you in the future, when you have a friendship, as your kids call it, right? If you're on Instagram with them, or if they were ever on another network where you have the opportunity to be on the same network as them, I want you to use this friendship, quote unquote, with your student as a resource to help with a dialogue. What do I mean by that? I mean, consider not commenting directly on your students' posts as they post. Instead, use their posts to start a discussion around the dinner table, or on the car ride home, or anywhere in real life that's gentle, that's, as an outsider, letting them open up and talk. Now let me talk to you about it. I have a brother-in-law that does some awesome stuff for us to keep the country safe on a federal level. He has people that do cool things that give him intel. He would never run around and say, oh, that guy gave me this intel, that person gave me that intel. It would ruin it, right? But you get intel also. You see, if you're friends with your kids on social media, you're getting that intel all the time. You wouldn't want to ruin it by commenting. I get a lot of students saying, Josh, my mom loves me so much. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, well, when I post at school about something, she'll comment. Go, oh, honey, sweetie, I'll see you tonight at dinner. I love you so much. Right? So we want to do that on there, but let's give them a little bit of space and instead bring it up in real life. You know what's going on in their life, but perhaps you could take it to another network, the real life network. Key takeaway number 3. Consider making your students the expert on an app, perhaps an app you never want to use, but is in our green zone, and have them teach you how to use one of these apps. I'll show you what the green zone is in a sec. We may go a little bit over, because I have a lot to share with you. While you're learning from your student, even if you don't care about the app, consider not using the phrase, why would I ever want to retweet something? Instead, consider saying, all right, okay, cool. What happens when I do that? What's next? Teach me. So what does this get us? How does this work, right? And what this does is it opens up a dialogue and shows your students that you're approachable in the future to talk about a possible social media issue that could happen. You see, here's the problem. A lot of people say, I don't want to learn how Snapchat works. I don't want to download it. Josh, I don't have time for this. I overheard someone and I couldn't even point them out. Somebody in this room said, I'm not even on social. Right? We're all busy. I own a couple companies. I understand what that's like. I have staff, I have healthcare, I have everything. But what we need to do, and the best way to get into a kid's head is to say, can you teach me how this works? Even if you're good at Instagram, turn your students into the experts. Give them the keys, let them lead the dialogue. And here's what's about to happen. Heaven forbid that there's ever a bullying incident at school. Heaven forbid there's ever something where they see something wrong online. What we want them to say is, you know, my mom or my dad they were kind of okay with Snapchat. I mean, they're not really good at it, they kind of suck at it, but they were okay, they were listening to how it worked. I feel more inclined to now go to them to talk about this issue that I see instead of talking to a friend or just keeping it inside. And that's what we want. Put your kids first and put the apps second. Forget about the apps, even if you don't care what Pokemon is and know your kids probably aren't using it much, there will be another Pokemon that comes around. Play it with your kids. If they want to hang out there, hang out with them so that if they see something, they can come to you first. All right, I'm going to show you concerns nationwide that parents have. Does UCLA really have time to Google all 100,000 applicants? The next question parents have is, do they really have 100,000 applicants? Yes, and they do have time to Google and search online for a percentage of them that want to get into a highly impacted major and that are outstanding. Unfortunately for you, you're outstanding parents because you're here today. Your kids are going to be in the portion that they Google, more often than not, right? Bummer. Should my kid be public or private? I showed you exactly when and how. Is Snapchat safe? No. We're going to try and dive into it. We'll see what we can do. How can I keep up with social media? There's a new app out each week. I have a resource for you. And then how do I have a dialogue with my students? I've already shown you a few resources there. Remember, our 3 steps are 1, audit your student, 2, have a dialogue with them about that audit and what's online, and 3, create content that helps them get to their future. Now, I'm going to show you a resource that's going to help you long after I'm gone. This is our website, Safe Smart Social, and perhaps the way that I was brought here today. There's a huge button on the front that says learn more about good and bad teen apps, and this button, when you click on it, it takes you to 3 zones. First, the green zone. The green zone apps, and no, the internet is not a safe place to be. But when you're ready, the green zone is a lesser of 3 evils, as these apps can be used to help a student, 14 years and older, to shine online and impress colleges and future employers. Next is the gray zone. This is a place where Snapchat lives and a few other apps. This is where it's a great time to have a dialogue with your kids about sexting, inappropriate behavior. Really, any of these zones is a good time for that. But this is the area where actually families can hang out together, and it's a little bit safer than just leaving your kids in the zone. And next is the red zone. This is the place where inappropriate content is rampant, bullying is rampant, and they are anonymous apps. We'll talk about those real quick too. All right, what if I have questions after you're gone, Josh? Each of these apps, each of these images I'm about to show you contains a 4 to 6 minute free video on our website that makes you an expert on the app. Each video comes with a 2-page guide that teaches you what the app does, why your kids like it, if it's good or bad, and how to talk to your students about it. Remember, dialogue is the secret application that is going to keep your family safe. We're going to give you a URL here in a second. Okay, why is the green zone good? Well, first, the green zone is productive. I do not want your students to waste their time. You see, posts can be discovered someday by Google, and their efforts and your students' efforts can be discovered by colleges. Next, professional. This is important. Colleges want and someday expect to find your students on these networks. Positive. Green zone networks are tied to a student's real identity, encouraging better behavior, and most of all, parent-friendly. You see, parents can track their kids' presence a little bit. I'm not all about tracking, but if you can get it, in addition to all these other things, hey, we'll take it. Okay, next. Now we're into the green zone. I'm going to go tread really lightly here because we're all on these now. We all know that Facebook is the godfather of all networks. You can post to it from a mobile device and also a tablet and a desktop based in the United States of America and publicly traded. It's not going to shift really quick and take your kids' data and do something else with it. Your kids aren't on it anyways. But if they were, that would be the case. Now, Facebook is no longer just one app. It is now a family of apps. You see, they also have Facebook Messenger, which is their direct messenger. And then also, there's Instagram. You see, Instagram started blowing up many years ago, and Facebook got really jealous. They said, this app that is mostly on a mobile device, you can't even post to it from a desktop, is blowing up with teenagers and tweens. Why is this? We're so jealous. So they went and they bought Instagram. So now these are all owned by the same company, right? Now it's good for you because it has built-in safety features and so on. But we're in the green zone. These are the areas that are productive, that can positively impact your students' results in the future. No, they're not safe, but they are safer, the lesser of the 3 evils. Next, we have LinkedIn. What are you talking about, LinkedIn, Josh? I have a middle schooler or a teenager. LinkedIn noticed that students were jumping on its network at such a rapid pace, they lowered the age restriction to 14 plus in the United States. What that means is that if your student, if you really want to talk to them about their future, this is a place to start looking at a resume, and here's why. LinkedIn turns off a few key features that are only for adults if you are 14, 15, 16, or 17. They hide your image, they hide your last name, they don't allow you to be marketed to, and it starts getting your student thinking about, am I thinking about this one part of LinkedIn that has volunteer experience? What am I going to do this summer to fill out this part? It starts planning for the future. Next is Pinterest. Many of us are familiar. Pinterest means pinning your interests. You can drag things from the web, but it will change your Google results in a way that is out of context. You need to be careful about every pin that your students are making because it will change negatively sometimes their Google results, their Google image results specifically. Next, and these are videos you can get for free on our website. If you sign up for the newsletter, you will be sent a good video, a bad video, and a digital wisdom video. And this is one that's amazing. If you are ready to get your kid into their dream school and you want to apply, this is one to watch. It shows you a different way of looking at these apps that colleges agree with and employers like myself. Now we're on to Twitter. We're still in the green zone. We're going to look at 30 apps. We're at about app 7 right now. Twitter, we know that it's mostly mobile, but you can post 140 characters, images, video. But what's good and bad is a lot of students look to it as to vent their drama, almost as their diary. But Twitter comes up public on a lot of people's Google results, so we need to be careful about that. Next is YouTube. I showed you how we changed Jamie's YouTube results, and I have an amazing video here. Here's the problem with YouTube. If you have students that are 13 or less, please do not leave them in front of YouTube alone. It can be worse than late night HBO. You see, there's all these pop-ups and there are advertisers that are vying for your students' attention. They don't know your student's age. They may think it's your demographic because you logged in. but you can learn just about anything on YouTube, from playing the guitar to fixing your car. Now we're on to the gray zone. These are the apps where your family can actually have fun online together, but you need to be super careful because anything less than wise could get them in trouble. What do I mean? Well, first we're on the Musical.ly app. And the Musical.ly app is an app where it's a popular app that lets users create lip-syncing videos with their family or their friends. Now this is a fun thing to do as a family because it lets you put music on top and do a lip-syncing thing, and the outcome is quite fun, and it can be a fun family thing to do. Even if you do not want to be on these apps, these sometimes are the place where your kids want to be. Next we have Periscope. Periscope did very well as a live video broadcasting app, and it was doing so well that Twitter bought them. So now Periscope is bought by Twitter. Periscopes are really kind of a bad idea to just hang out because from anywhere in the world people can broadcast. And that means that no one is monitoring it, and your students could see something inappropriate. Pokemon Go, many of us are familiar with that. It is an incredible augmented reality piece of technology. Your students aren't on it as much anymore. How many of your students used it in the last week? Yeah, only a couple of us. Yeah, exactly. It kind of died down, but it was the most downloaded app ever in less than 2 weeks, right? People were all over it. But it's a place where your students want to hang out. It's not super bad where there's predators chatting with your kids for the most part. So it's a place where you get to now go, hey, let's go out and get some steps. Let's Pokemon Go it in the park or whatever, right? Even if you don't like the app, it's a good place to hang out with your kids and do what they want. Next, no, this is not an app, but I get a lot of questions. Is text messaging safe? Well, it's default, built into phones and so on, but it's a very important thing to note. You can still block text messaging or people that are texting your kids within the phone. It's built into both Android and iPhone. We have a great video. If you click on any one of these, this one shows you this compared to other messaging apps. Now we're on to Snapchat. How many of our kids have Snapchat? Yeah, just about everybody in the room. You know, how many of you would like it if I explain to you how Snapchat works? Can I do that? Majority of the room. So I'm going to pretend like, and I live and work in Santa Monica, and at our office I can see Snapchat's new office from our window. They are moving in a few months, right across from us. I want to tell you how they market to your kids. Is that fair? I'm going to be Snapchat's marketing team for a second. Snapchat says this. Hey kids, we're Snapchat. We are a free app based in Venice Beach and Santa Monica, and you can download us on your iOS or your Android phone for 100% free, and you can take pictures and up to 10 seconds of video for free, and you can add squigglies and dog faces and do all this silly stuff and filters and colors and neat stuff, and then you can send it to a friend or 3 friends. And you can send it to them for free. They can download the app. There's no catch. Trust us. You can send it to them, and they will then be able to view it for up to 10 seconds, and they can watch the video. And we promise that once they viewed it, it will disappear. It will go poof. And we're so dedicated to that we made our logo a ghost to show you that it goes poof and deletes. Now, do we as adults believe that? No, but do your kids believe that? Yeah, and you know why? Because you're amazing parents. You would never let a liar in your home. You'd never let somebody around the dinner table that lies to your children. No, they go, Mom, this app, trust me, it's good, it's okay, it's free, right? But we all know, and we've seen on the news how things get hacked every day. Something new comes out, right? There's a huge dating site, 400 million emails yesterday or the day before, right? Now, your kids are starting to behave a little bit better on Snapchat for the most part, but this is a chance. We're in the gray zone. This Snapchat can be a great place for your family to hang out. What do I mean by that? There are silly facial things you can do. You can turn on these filters that make your 2 people in the video look like a dog. It's adorable. It puts a nose and eyes and a mouth and a tongue. And as silly as it sounds, you see how you're giggling right now. You do this with your kids, and your kids will laugh at you and with you, and you'll be able to save it for long after it's over. Then you're hanging out with your students on Snapchat. What's going to happen at the end? If they see any bullying, anything inappropriate, they're going to be more comfortable coming to you because there's less of a barrier to entry to showing Mom and Dad how the app works because they were giggling and making silly videos. Does that make sense? All right, next we're on to Vine. Now Vine is going away. Vine announced a couple weeks ago that they're dying and because they can't figure out how to monetize. Vine is owned by Twitter. Twitter's going through some financial struggles. Not that it pertains to this discussion, but it is important to know how their business works and where their money comes from. Vine is an app that is a 6-second video app, mostly square video, that has created celebrities. Students on Vine create crude humor and get millions of followers and then go into other networks and so on. It has been an incredible launch pad for many students that become famous. I'm not saying that in a good way. WhatsApp Messenger. Now WhatsApp is an international app. It's an app that uses Wi-Fi to let you communicate with anyone in the world using your actual phone number that you have on your mobile device. What it does is it says, what is your phone number? We'll text you a message. It texts you a message, it verifies that that is really indeed your phone number, and then anyone in the world that has that phone number in their address book then knows your username. It's pretty ingenious. It did very well over the last 7 years, and Facebook got really jealous. They said, man, this is doing really well. So they went and bought WhatsApp. So now WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger are all a family of apps, no longer one app, right? Now it's in the gray zone because it does have some built-in features. It's good when Facebook buys something because you're a little bit safer, but no, I do not get paid by Facebook. I don't get paid by anybody except for your school. However, there are still some bad people on there, but it is a lower barrier to entry, or it is a higher barrier to entry for a predator to contact your student if they have to create a phone number, if they have to go and buy a phone number. So it is a little bit better than the app we're about to look at in a moment. Now, my friends, we're in the red zone, and we're doing good on time. This makes me feel good. I'm moving quick. I'm gonna need some water when we're done. All right, so we're in the red zone. This is the place if you find your kids hanging out, with the exception of one app, which I may move out of the red zone, and I never do this. But this is the place where your students should never hang out. This is the place where predators hang out. Those of you that have middle school, 0 to 13 years old, and you raise your hand, this is where you pay attention, please. This is where bullying happens. Oh, my students go there because they're looking for positive reinforcement and they get to express themselves. That is absolutely a terrible thing to start because what I'm about to show you, these apps they breed negative behavior. Okay, so we're going to start with the After School app. I'm going to read a couple of these. After School is an anonymous app that creates a separate chat group for every school. It's been removed twice from the App Store because of threats and arrests. Messages often include bullying, pornography, and alcohol or drug references. Now, each one of these logos is a good, thank you so much for the water. You guys are amazing to me today, I have to tell you. You knew my name when I was pulling in the parking lot without even knowing what I looked like. Now we're on to AskFM. Now, AskFM is the godfather of all social media bullying apps. It's sad. Here's why. AskFM encourages students to ask questions with the option of being anonymous when those that answer the questions. Kids often reveal too much personal information, and cyberbullying is prevalent. Let me quickly describe AskFM. Students will create an AskFM, ask.fm / their name URL, / Josh, right? And what they'll do is people will ask them questions, or they'll ask questions on there, and people will then answer anonymously. So they have a public profile, and they're saying, here I am, anonymously answer things. And that's where bullying happens. AskFM says, and all these bad apps say, express yourself. And they will call up people like me that call them out in the real world. Even though I'm very professional and brands work with me on a big level, they'll say, oh, no, you've got us wrong. There's actually some good stories that come out. You know, there was this one kid in the Midwest. Out of millions of users, we found one positive story, and they'll put that first. But please do not go to their website or any of these other websites. Do not trust them, right? Trust independent people that know how these are used on the street. Next, we have the BurnBook app. BurnBook is an anonymous app for posting text, photos, and audio rumor messages about others. And this is key, what I'm about to say. The app compiles messages by school. So it kind of groups you together. It requires access to your location, and it encourages students, and this is sad, it encourages students to screenshot rumors and save them to their phone, causing bullying. It gamifies your students. If they screenshot something, they get points. The person that took a picture inappropriately of somebody gets points. And then they both get points to take something that was temporary and perhaps make it less than temporary. Next, we're onto the Calculator private photo app. Have you guys anybody seen this? Okay, the Calculator private photo app is designed to help students hide photos and videos from their parents behind an innocent-looking calculator app. This application looks like a calculator, but entering a passcode opens a private area. This is one of the better videos I've ever created. It shows you if your students have ever downloaded it. It gives you some hacks. Do not tell your students I shared this with you. But go look for that logo. Bottom line, if you have a middle schooler or even an elementary school student and they say, hey mom, dad, I want to download a calculator app. No, there's a great calculator on your iPhone, right? Good. Or anything, no, I need a special feature. Great, we'll buy you a Texas Instruments one for $40, okay? Kick Messenger. Now we're on to a really bad app. Kick allows anyone on the app to contact your child and directly message them. It has been known to allow adults to communicate with preteens and is very difficult to discern who is a predator and who's real. Some adults have been known to use this app to pretend like they're tweens and teens. Kick allows students to bypass text messaging features of their phone. Users can connect with anyone on the network and they aren't limited to their phone's contact list. It allows predators to burn through usernames. It allows predators to create bots that will communicate with your child and say the following phrases. Hey, are you online right now? Hey, are you there? Are you home yet? And it creates all these little bots that communicate with your students. One of the other problems, if that isn't enough, is that they're based in Canada, so it's harder for our police or our jurisdiction to go and say, hey, there was unfortunately a child abduction. We need to get access to these IP addresses and get this data quickly. It takes a lot longer. So this is a bad place for your students to hang out. Kick Messenger. Ogle is an anonymous app that automatically searches your location for nearby schools. When downloaded, you can view and interact with school feeds, engage on any campus's content, and share or ask anything anonymously. Does that sound scary? Yeah. Let me read the next sentence. Since there's little formal registration, bullies and predators can easily masquerade as students. Happens all the time. Next, we have Omegle. Now look at this age. Oh, it's 18 plus. My kids can't get access to it. Josh, why are you teaching us this? Do you think your kids can get access to just about any app they want? Yeah, that is merely a suggestion, not from us, but from the App Store, and it changes all the time. Omegle is an anonymous text and video chat room that connects strangers to talk with each other. The app allows users to share personal information and contains inappropriate and unmonitored content. Now next we have Uvo. Now Uvo, how many of your students are using Uvo? Yeah, Uvo may go into the gray zone. I may have misjudged it, and that is rare, but Uvo is one of the world's largest video and messaging apps. Think of it like a party line video chat, almost like FaceTime, but you can put 3 of your friends or 4 of your friends on it at once, and you're all chatting using a Wi-Fi signal usually. Parents should be aware that sometimes, in the past, Uvo has been used by predators to contact underage students. You can chat with a lot of different people. Has anyone seen anything bad on Uvo? No, not yet. Okay, good. We may move that into the gray zone, so if you see your students using that, you can go watch the video for free by clicking on this or clicking on the logo on our website where I showed you. Next is the Secret app. Secret is an app that allows people to share messages anonymously within their circle of friends, their friends of friends, and publicly. Students often hide by being anonymous when posting, and they forget, and if you are taking notes, this is something to write down. They forget that being anonymous does not mean being untraceable. You know, we were talking earlier, and I actually get a lot of calls from schools about students that think it's funny because they're having a bad day and they want to say something inappropriate online that could damage other people, and they don't realize that officers can show up on your doorstep, you as a professional, you as a parent, within hours, right? And they think that being anonymous means untraceable. And this is where I want to have a quick talk with you. Many of you in this room are professionals. Your professional reputation is very important because what you do as a living provides a living for your children, for your spouse, right? To go to this school. And you not only need to protect your children, but you need to protect your reputation. And many of these apps, unfortunately, can hurt your reputation. And so that's why it is crucial for you to know that if something goes online, it can actually hurt what you do as well, sadly. We hear that from this often, where parents' reputations are tied to their students. Next, we're on to the Slingshot app. Slingshot is a comparison app marketed to young boys that allows users to vote and create polls. Slingshot users can create any type of poll, including polls that are not appropriate for teens. Now, you're going to see a sister version of this app. This is Slingshot. You're going to see a peak version of it with an upside-down version of that logo that is called the Wishbone app in a moment. These are in alphabetical order, and they're not together. The problem with this app, and the reason why it's in the red zone, first of all, these polls can be derogatory, mean, inappropriate. Second, When we reviewed it, and I don't think they've cleaned up their act, they had very inappropriate 15 and 30-second videos that you would not want your middle schooler to watch. Just trust us there. My staff was looking at that and we went, wow, this is not okay for middle schoolers. And many parents have agreed. So Slingshot, very inappropriate. You can't skip through the ads. Imagine YouTube where you're watching a video and it puts up something that's really only adult friendly. Only a college fraternity guy would probably be appropriate seeing. Okay, next, Street Chat app. Street Chat is a live photo sharing board designed for middle school, high school, and college students. Students feel the freedom to send mean posts because they do not have to confirm their identity. Now, Street Chat encourages you to take random photos of people without their permission and post it on there, and it gives you points and so on. Tumblr. How many of us have heard of Tumblr? Yeah, most of the room. I'm going to tell you why Tumblr might not be a safe place. It can be okay, but I want to warn you. Tumblr is one of the world's most popular blogging platforms. Users tend not to use their real names, so it can be hard to find blogs without knowing the username. But oftentimes, users will use their real name and it will change their Google results. The problem with Tumblr, a couple years ago before they got bought by Yahoo, their terms of service said, we are okay with pornography and we will not take down pornographic videos or images. They flat out said that. I'm not a lawyer, but we do read all the terms of service, and we did put it in the video. They were bought by Yahoo. They have very fancy lawyers that have hidden that information in there, but they have a huge search box at the top of Tumblr that allows your student to search for anything, and it's still on there. So you can find anything you want in Tumblr, sadly. Next is the What's Goodly app. What's Goodly is an anonymous, location-based social polling application designed for college students. It has a 17+ age restriction, but younger students are always able to see polls, vote, and even download it and participate. Students are smart. There's a lot of questions about dating, relationships, alcohol, and smoking on the app. Now we're on to Whisper. Whisper is another red zone app that is a godfather of all cyberbullying apps. Whisper is an anonymous social network that allows people to express themselves. Whisper reveals a user's location, which makes it easy for people to arrange to meet up. This also makes it easier for predators to locate and connect with users. Once again, express yourself, kids. Here we are. We're here to let people positively say nice things about you. Do you guys think that people are positive when they're anonymous? We as adults, we know that that's not the case, right? And next, Wishbone app. Wishbone's a comparison app. This is the girl version of the Slingshot app. They're getting smarter. They're hyper-targeting based on whether it's a boy or a girl. Once again, inappropriate videos that you perhaps would not want your student to watch. Now we're on to the Yik Yak app. Yik Yak acts like a local bulletin board for your area by showing the most recent posts of other users around you. Think of it like this. Yik Yak is an anonymous version of Twitter, and it lets you see the tweets that are within 3 to 5 miles of you. A couple years ago, a lot of bomb threats on this app, and I would get calls from all over the country. Hey, can you talk to our students about how being anonymous does not mean being untraceable? Now we're over to YouNow. YouNow is a popular broadcasting platform where students watch and stream real-time videos. Now, the problem with these is they do not have enough staff to watch all the videos and to listen. So if you're somebody who were to report that it's inappropriate, unfortunately, your students are probably watching it for another hour or so. All right, so now, how many of your students have Instagram? How many of you know what Finstagram is? A Finsta, okay? A third of the room. I want to show you a hack that teaches you whether your students have a Finstagram. I don't know anybody in the world that's teaching this. Please do not tell your students that you learned this. They will hate me. I'm very hated on the internet by 13-year-old students because I give away all these techniques. You first get your kid's phone, and you look in their Instagram. And here's their feed. Oh, my friend had a book signing. Cool, neat. The next thing you do is you click down here on their headshot down there. You see that? Their head may be there, or it may be a silhouette of someone else, like a robot, a hollow head. In my case, it is my face. You click on that. The next thing that you do, oh, there we go. I've got arrows now. I added arrows for you guys. The next thing you do is you look up at the upper top. You see up here next to my username, do you see that down little arrow right there? That little tiny thing right there that we're pointing to, if you see that, that means your students have multiple accounts. And what that means is, and I'm going to explain why, when you click that down arrow, you will see multiple accounts popping down. Why is this bad, Josh? Many students will have an Instagram that their parents are following. How many of you follow your students online? Okay, half of the room, maybe more than half of the room. But then students will have a Finstagram. An Instagram is a real Instagram. A Finstagram is a fake Instagram. They will have a secondary account where they're logged into the same app, because the app gives you 2 ways. You can manage up to 5 accounts, as you can see up there. They give you access to log in and change it, and then your students feel more inclined to post not inappropriate stuff, but to be themselves. Many students don't know that all these other apps that you grant access to in Instagram can take your information and put it online and share it with Google without your permission. Happens all the time. I get these calls, unfortunately. My daughter's trying to apply to Harvard, and all of her Instagram and her Finstagram photos are all over the web, but she is private online. This can't be true. How did this happen? Who is this other company? Oh, well, this company is something that she granted access to, and you didn't know it, but you granted them access to take all the photos and put them out under her name, and now they're advertising next to them. We'll see if we can get them back, but there's no real way. So unfortunately, I've shown you a way to see if your student has 2 Instagram accounts, and I also want you to talk to them about, are they proud of every picture they have online? Because if they're not, it can change their Google results. How do we talk to them about that? Well, let me see if, first of all, if you want to, there's no sales, and I haven't even talked about this school, but I have stuff that might be able to save a life in this community. If you want to visit our website and log in, it is 100% free. You will get 3 videos a week, 30 videos over 10 weeks that will help you protect your family. If you see anything that is helpful right now for college prep or keeping your middle schoolers safe, now is the time to open up your phone and go to joshsvideos.com to log in. You can do this after or right now. But what I want to do is show you some other stuff. I showed you the 3-step plan. And if we have a moment, I would like to teach you how to search for your students online. Is that fair? Can I show you how to protect your kids and their online image? I showed you how to dial up with your student, and I might even be able to do this, but we really talked a lot about safety, because that's what I promised you here today. I'd like to show you just a little bit about ways that you can, these are some of our videos. What is the calculator at? Okay, so how can I monitor my students online? Well, I'm going to show you the way that not only employers are going to do it someday, but colleges, and it'll also keep your kids safe. So if I can give you one tool, and I don't get paid by them, but if I can give you one tool that would do everything a little bit, then it would make it much easier, because we're all busy. Start with Google, on your phone or on your laptop or your desktop. Start by searching for your kid's first and last name. Here's what that looks like, Josh Ochs. When you search for these 2 keywords, you're telling Google, hey Google, here's 2 words. I'm searching for this candidate for our college, and I want you to find the word Josh and the word Ochs on the web. Go scour the whole internet. Find them in any order on any web page. Return to me the first 10 results that are a good fit, the authoritative pages for this. And what that does is Google runs around the web and it finds them in any order. The word Ochs could be at the top of the page and Josh at the bottom. Do you think they're going to find lots of other people when they search for me that way? Yeah, they are. And I often ask students when I'm live with 1,000 of them in the room, how many of you found lots of other people? And 2/3 of the students raise their hand, because they are searching for themselves in this way online. So then colleges are going to get frustrated. They're going to search for first name and last name in quotes. And this is where they start to hone in on your students. This is what they do. They say, all right, so for the first Google result, I asked for Josh and Ochs in any order, anywhere on the page. But now what we're going to do is we're going to search for the word Josh and the word Ochs. I'm going to put them in quotes because I want Josh, I want a space, and then I want the word Ochs in that order. It could be at the top, it could be at the bottom, but now colleges and anyone else are starting to hone in on your student. They're still going to find some other people. So then they're going to go to first name plus last name plus the city, either where you live or where you're applying from, the school that you're in. Next, they're going to search for first name plus last name plus the school that you're applying from. And then next, they're going to search perhaps for first name, middle name, and last name. If they find all kinds of other people that are inappropriate, they're going to say, who is this student? I don't see congruency between their college application and their online results. And then last, this is something you can do. Search for your student's email address. You never know if it's leaked online. If they have a URL or if they have a username that they think is funny, search for that in quotes. See if it's public out there. Remember how I told you the 0 to 13? You shouldn't be able to know what your students are doing online, thinking online, or where they're at? they may not know they're sharing that, right? Okay, next. I made a tool in politics that helps me do this every day. It's 100% free. Here's what it is. I thought, oh man, I'm the guy that's really good at Google. And here I am, I have the best Google results out of all the other candidates, and I have zero money, but I'm really good at this in a scrappy way. And I said, I have to Google myself every week to make sure somebody isn't, the newspapers aren't saying, he's way too young, or I'm not missing something. I want to have the best results. I said, wouldn't it be nice? Because this takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and not everybody has that every week, and I didn't, and you probably don't either, you're busy. I said, wouldn't it be nice if somebody would email me every Friday or something and say, here's a series of buttons, click on each one, and we will auto-populate the Google search bar so that you get those Google results. We'll save you time. All you gotta do is click on these 7 buttons, Josh. Well, that would save me time. So I made a nerdy tool called Footprint Friday. It's a free tool to monitor your students' online footprint in 5 minutes every week. I gave it to my staff, gave it to a few family members, and now it has 1,000 families in it that use it each week. Here's how it works. You're not allowed to sign up for it or ask me about it until you watch the 7-minute video. I do not have time to explain it. What I do have time to do is show you how it works, and then you watch the video to see why I use it for myself. Hard to see up here, but this is the email you get. It says search Google for Josh Ochs, without quotes, with quotes, search Google Images for Josh Ochs, and all these other things. Search Josh's email address. You fill out a form on the right. It lets you put in 2 of your kids in there, and it emails you every Friday. It automatically adds you to our newsletter so that you get our safety videos as well. You're welcome. Okay, what did real moms say about this? Josh, I love this service. I showed my middle school daughter just how easy it was to see her picture, her age, her activities, her school, her address, her login info, all based on the things she put on the web. She was able to see a few older men on her Pinterest, which freaked her out, and she took down her info. Okay? This is how serious this is. We get an email like this every week. All right. That's why you might consider taking a picture of that or opening up your phone and logging in. There is a reason why your school asked me on a Saturday to come out here. The stuff that we have, I have just shown you the tip of the iceberg on the amount of information that we have to keep your family safe and smart on the internet. Okay, now, that, my friends, is pretty much all I have for you. I'd like to open it up to Q&A. Now, what I haven't shown you is some other information that we have about showing you how to create a portfolio of positive images, but I think searching for you online is probably the best way to do that. So I'm going to go back to the starting slide and go from there. Okay, any questions? How did we do? Was that good? Thank you. All right, what questions do you have, real quick? I think we're just about done. Do we have 2 or 3 more minutes? We do? Okay, yes. Is there any way to monitor on Snapchat since the videos do go away? I have an answer that you're not going to like. The answer is no, not as much, but talking to your students about their future online reputation changes the way they do this. I hear from principals all the time when they're introing me to parents. They say, what you're about to see that Josh showed your students yesterday in an assembly here in Philadelphia or wherever I'm at, he goes, he taught your students a positive way to monitor their student online. You see, I teach students how to search for themselves online. Then I teach for them how to use their Instagram as a positive portfolio of pictures. I don't have time to do that with you today, but I teach them how to take group photos, pepper them in a natural and authentic way, and all of a sudden they realize everything I'm doing here is ending up on Google. Should I behave that way on Snapchat? Because we all know that it can get screenshot and it can get sent to something. So I don't physically actually talk to students about Snapchat. I teach them how public Instagram is and how to search for themselves online and how everything ends up there and it changes their behaviors. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not going to do that because I know that everything ends up online. Does that make sense? I have a totally different dialogue that I have with students that ends up being way more productive rather than telling them don't Snapchat inappropriate photos. And yes, you should have that dialogue with them. But rather than us, remember in the first slide that had a spectrum, and it had a red, a gray, and a green, and we argue with them over in the red zone telling them not to do this, but instead I want you to talk to your students about their future. I have a ton of other slides that I wish, if we had 2 hours, I would give you a tremendous discussion about how to take the next step. We're limited on time. Yes, next. In Instagram, a lot of the trouble is in the comments. Do those also get pulled into Google? If your student ever becomes public on Instagram, everything that people say about them a little bit is eventually online if you give, let me back up there. Let me tell you the bigger picture, how to talk to your students. A lot of us have concerns online. I want to tell you one of the biggest concerns that parents have. Give me 1 second, and I'll get to you. I hear this from parents all the time right now, and I'm going to build a slide with this. Josh, my students aren't online, or I'm not online because I don't want to get tagged in something, and I don't want to then have to go and monitor it and then have bad things come up. How many of you have ever heard somebody say that maybe? I'm not going to be online, right? Let me tell you the true answer to that no one knows, and we're a year ahead of this. Unfortunately, it's my job to bring people up to speed on this. Never before has Google, or maybe once or twice, has Google ever done this. How many of you have ever searched on Google for the word pizza or anything else, and Google said, sorry, there's no results here? It's Google's job to put things in there, to fill in, right? Like you put your hand through water and it fills up on the back. It just comes through really quickly. Google is the same way. It takes the world's information and it makes it easy for other people to find. So if you decide, oh, my student at the age of 15 or 16 or 17 won't be on social media because nothing will come up, remember my first step for your family? Search for yourself online. Audit your student results, because gone are the days where you're not online. People are already talking about your student, and there are other people that care less about your student's online image that look like your student, that have the same name as your student, that are online. It is now your job to get online, to create a positive Instagram profile, to get onto LinkedIn, to create, even if they don't post on Facebook, to create something, to put the same image across every one of the networks, so that a school goes, all right, I got this A student, went to an amazing school in Southern California. I got 1,000 applications, let's search for them because this looks like a great student. Do we put him in the good bin, the maybe bin, or the bad bin? Let's search online. All these other people come up. Oh, that person's smoking weed. Oh, that person's doing bad stuff. And I would rather not be PC with you. I'd rather tell you when it comes up, oftentimes. Statistically, 98% of you will not search for your kids today. The 2% that will today will be shocked and start to change your behavior and your dialogue with your student. So if we think that we can't be online, but all these other people that really care very little about their future are posting things online, and you click the photo image results and your student doesn't come up anywhere but all these other people do, I want you to ask this very important question that no one asks themselves. Does that admissions person, even if it's 3 or 4 or 5 years away, does that admissions person know what your student looks like? Do you think they're going to take the time to say, this isn't Sally, no, this is a good family, no, that doesn't look like the person that we're looking for? No, they need to move on, and if you haven't done the work to help them connect the dots to what your daughter or son looks like, they're going to go, I'm confused, this goes in the confused bin. There are 1,000 resumes they're looking through, whether it's UCLA or where I went to a much superior school, USC, or any other school. There are 1,000 resumes they're looking at, right? And they want to find who they want. They want to check those boxes. Those of you that are in the room right now that are employers like me, I'm going to look through 100 resumes in the next week because we're adding staff members. Do you think that I have the time to go, well, let me give this person the benefit of the doubt? And no, we got to move on. We got to find somebody that's serious, that's easy to find, that they're wholesome online, they're putting their best foot forward, they're discoverable, right? And that's what schools are looking for. They expect your students to be online, not to hide. If they find tons of other people, we as adults don't give up and go, well, I'll assume the best because I didn't find anything. I'll put it in the good, the great bin. No, they'll assume question mark. They're going to invest in your family. You see, they're going to put your student in their brand image for the rest of their life. And so has this school. You see, your student is going to go off and say, I'm a USC Trojan for the rest of their life. Do you think that's important to them to put the right person in their school? Now, you may also say, hey, our student gets such great grades or is so good at this, let's also see if we can get them to throw in 50 grand to pay for half of the college education, or that's going to be 1 year by the time those of you that have middle schoolers right? And that's worth a lot of money to just start figuring out your online results. Gone are the days where we say, I'm not online, I can't get tagged. No, tagging actually isn't the enemy. Not being online is the true enemy. Does that make sense? It's like not checking your credit score and saying, no, I won't check it, because then the first time I check it, I'm going to notice it's going to go down once I check it. No, you check it. You check it 20 years before you want to buy your house. You start saving right now, you start creating that positive online identity. I didn't give you a bunch of that stuff today because I didn't have time to do that. But a lot of the videos that we show online, the Instagram video, the YouTube video that we have online, they're all behind that door, my friends. Nothing to sell, but everything to share and help you. Some of these videos have 20, 30, 40,000 views because they help parents see a different side that not a lot of people know. Yes, and I'm sorry for that. Go ahead. Snapchat, do the videos really disappear? There are other apps. The answer is no. There are other apps that will allow you to download people's Snapchat videos, save them to another part of your phone that Snapchat doesn't know that they were copied. So it looks like they were never viewed by the sender, by the recipient. The sender goes, oh, they were never viewed, but really they're copied and they're put on Facebook, Instagram, somewhere else. There are tons of other apps. Do they ever really go away? Currently, I think the terms of service in Snapchat says that Snapchat has the right to keep them for 3 weeks for jurisdiction purposes or whatever. They don't ever go away. But we all know that in our heart. I'm here to remind you what you already know. You're all amazing people at a great organization. But talking with your students about telling them what not to do. Don't touch that hot stove. What do you think your student's going to do? They don't want to touch that hot stove. But if you say instead, hey, all right, kid, get in the kitchen tonight. We're going to cook spaghetti. I'm going to show you how to use that hot stove, that sharp knife, that really cool pan. We're going to do everything, and you're going to have a delicious meal at the end. How does that sound? Oh yeah, Mom, I'm hungry, right? And now they're motivated. That hot stove has a reason, a purpose, and that's what Snapchat is. It's a tool to communicate with people. But we don't give them that tool early on. Remember my 3-step plan was audit your students' results first. Second, have a dialogue with them about what you found and where do they want to go in their future. And let your students set that. What school do you want to go to? And then we move into creating content that's positive and then using the tools. Unfortunately, we give our students phones really early on as step one without actually auditing the results and seeing other people and then having that dialogue about where we want to go and then using the tool as a tool. But unfortunately, students use the tool as a pastime and it ruins their online behavior, their online resume. Does that make sense? All right, I've given you a lot of the safety stuff. I've done my best to squeeze it in. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.